Hi everyone, welcome to Assetto Corsa Competizione, the anti-sequel. This is not a sequel to Assetto Corsa, it's Assetto Corsa in name only. Kunos Simulazioni has come back with a standalone game. In this case, it is the official game of the Blancpain GT series, so it is not a direct sequel to Assetto Corsa. It has all of the official cars, teams, drivers, and tracks of the 2018 season, with more on the way. So, looking at the main menu here, we'll start out with the career mode, which shouldn't really have been called career. It's basically just a series of one off events. You do the race weekends, and there are some tire tests and things thrown there in between. It doesn't keep track of your points or anything, so it's not a real championship, and you're not really jumping between teams in different seasons. It is a good place to start to get used to all of the new ratings, which I will go into in a little bit. Right here, you can set up a custom season with all the parameters that you want to do. This will keep track of your progress and your points. Special events. These are community events that change periodically. So you have 4 different events at any time. A hot lap and hot stint are 2 different ways of time trial. And then you have the super pole, which is 2 laps. So you can do these as many times you want, and they're nice for comparing your times against your competitors. And the single player mode here, you can set up any kind of mode you want, a whole weekend, just a quick race. You can do endurance events, and you can do practice sessions, pretty much anything you want. It's very flexible there, and you can choose, of course, the track and your car. And while we're looking at the content, this being the official game of the Blancpain GT, it is pretty light on content. So you basically only have these official tracks of the 2018 season. The 2019 update is going to be free, and it is imminent. That will update all of the cars. And there is also a DLC coming for Intercontinental GT, which will add a few cars and some new tracks. But that is likely going to be paid DLC. So here you have all the official cars, all the official teams, the official drivers of the 2018 season. So there are quite a few cars to play around with. But the game being focused only on Blancpain, it is very limited in content. And in multiplayer, I will talk a little bit about matchmaking and what it should have been and what it wasn't in a little bit. But for now, you have competition servers. These are officially ranked servers that you can jump into. You have a quick join where you can basically set up your little parameters here of kind of what you're looking for on quick join. And depending on your preferences, it will just dump you into whatever server is available that best matches what you're looking for. And of course, you can choose your car. And if you go to the server list, this is where it'll show all of the public and private servers. Most of them need a password and what they're racing. And there are some minimum requirements in some of them that are higher or lower depending on what the host is looking for. And in your driver card, you can look at your stats. You can look at your rating, how all of your different ratings have been coming along over time, and you can also look at a whole bunch of stats that are divided between the tracks you've raced on. The gallery is where you can load saved replays, so you can record them, look at them, edit them later on. And in the options, here there's a whole bunch of video options. I have an RTX 2060, so I do play on high resolution. I play on 1440p, which is quad HD. It's only showing 1080 because I don't have my external monitor hooked up right now. There are all kinds of options, all kinds of fine-tuning here to get things to wherever you need them and or want them according to your PC specs. Audio options, there's a whole bunch of adjustments for all of the different effects. Music as well. And the controls, here I do not have my wheel hooked up, so this is all in 0, but you can see that it is pretty basic. There are not a lot of force feedback options. Complete button mapping, there is a whole bunch of stuff to map that you can map to your wheel and or your keyboard, and here you can save and load presets. The assists menu, pretty basic things here for the assist that you can turn on and off. And same thing with your HUD options. So you can set up the game exactly the way you like it, exactly the way you like playing. There are different camera angles. This is the dash cam. You also have a helmet cam and a traditional cockpit cam, as well as hood, bumper, and external cameras. The game has very accurate setup options. You have a safe and an aggressive preset. Safe being a little bit understeery, aggressive being very oversteery, and you have a wet preset. All of these presets, you can modify them and you can save them. Different iterations of each one. And obviously these are real-life setup options that they get from Blancpain GT data. The traction control and the ABS systems are also modeled after the real cars. So we are talking again about very high simulation value here. And any sim head that is a setup freak is going to enjoy spending hours getting that last tenth or two out of the car. Very well done in the setup options as well. Now let's start talking with the graphics. This uses the Unreal Engine. Kunos moved to Unreal because supposedly it has allowed them to not worry about the dynamic time and weather, which is present in the game, because all of the lighting sources and that is all taken care of by the Unreal Engine. So the game does look very good. It has excellent graphics, very crisp, nice detailed car models. Unreal is a little bit heavy, so you might have to run with a little bit less graphic detail than you do in other titles. But generally, it's very smooth. It can get some stutters when the weather effects are going and at night. But on a whole, it does look very, very nice, and it's one of the best looking racers that I have ever played. It's definitely miles beyond something like R Factor 2, for example. But then again, maybe the fact that Kunos is focusing on a single series here allows them to do some more optimization in the graphics department, especially considering that they're dealing with a reduced amount of content. As far as the sounds go, they're also very well done, very visceral. The transmission whine sounds wonderful. Going over the curbs sounds really nice. The various noises there are from the undercarriage when you're scraping the curbs is excellent, and the engine sounds. Everything is just very well done. It is a wonderfully sounding game, and they've really done a great job. And there's really not much else to say about the sounds or the graphics. So as far as the physics are concerned, this being from Kunos, the dynamic model is excellent, as we all expected it to be. The driving sensation is absolutely wonderful. There was, a couple months ago, there was a big update where they moved over to a 5-point tire model. That means that each tire has 5 points of contact with the road surface. Now, I did not play this game before the 5-point tire model was introduced, so I can't do any comparisons. But what I can say is that you can feel absolutely everything that the physics engine is throwing at you. Especially when you're rolling over the curbs and when you are losing traction, regaining traction. The tire model is very well done. This is an excellent simulation. It's intuitive, and these automobiles in the GT3 class, they are very easy to drive fast, but they are very difficult to drive on the limit. And that's what real GT3 drivers say, and that is exactly the sensation you get in this game as well. There's not a whole lot to say about the physics. Assetto Corsa was excellent physics-wise, so is this game. It's got very, very high simulation value. Obviously, this is a 100% true sim through and through. And as far as the force feedback is concerned, the force feedback is good. I wouldn't say it's excellent. It is better than Assetto Corsa. I would prefer to have a few more options in the force feedback. Me being on a Logitech G29 means that I'm kind of stuck with the limited options that Kunos has given me. Maybe they've designed the force feedback more for the high-end wheels where people can actually make force feedback adjustments outside of the game, but I cannot, so I would like to have the option to tweak things a little bit more to my liking. But that said, the force feedback as a whole is very well done. Tire slip, locking up the brakes, going over the curbs is very well portrayed. Self-aligning torque is excellent. Tire slip, suspension movement, it's all there. It's informative, it's intuitive, and it tells you exactly what you need. So very, very well done in the physics and the force feedback department. The tracks are all laser scanned. They are modeled to perfection, very detailed, and comparing to real life footage, all of the details are there. The curbs are correctly modeled. Everything is just done so well. And interesting thing for players coming from GT Sport, which I think ACC and GT Sport are the two games that best model the tracks. Your reference points and your braking points coming from GT Sport to ACC will be identical. That's how well both games model the tracks, so they've done a very, very good job in modeling the tracks and the track surfaces. ACC has Track IR and VR support. I have both. Track IR is very well implemented, and all you need to do is have your Track IR open and the game will automatically detect it. If you heard about the axes being reversed, that has been fixed. Regarding VR, I'm using the PlayStation VR headset, and unfortunately the drivers on Steam do not keep it still all the time. It kind of just constantly drifts off to the left, so I haven't really been using it a whole lot. But despite the complaints there are about there being poor optimization for VR in ACC, it actually works quite well. You do have to play with your graphics settings, turn some things down, but it's overall a pretty smooth experience, and graphics are reasonably crisp. Definitely with my setup, I can tell you one thing, it does look a lot better than GT Sport on the VR, even though here you have 20 cars on track, 26 actually, whereas in GT Sport they won't let you race with anyone. So I don't have a lot of experience with VR on the PC, so maybe it is true that other games are way more optimized than this, but it does work pretty well, at least with the PSVR and my i7 and my GT RTX 2060. With the dynamic weather, the tracks get wet, puddles form, and when it stops raining, there's a drying line that starts appearing along the track, so it's all dynamic, and the grip levels change depending on how much has been run over the weekend and on the ambient temperature. Wind is modeled, even the droplets of water affecting the aerodynamics of the cars is modeled. Stormy conditions are very brutal, very low visibility, and aquaplaning like crazy. It's very difficult to get the car around the track in that, so the weather conditions and the dynamic and real-time track conditions and how that's incorporated into the simulation of the game is really top notch. So, granted that this game is pretty much the pinnacle of sim racing regarding graphics, sounds, physics, and force feedback, you might be thinking, okay, well, this is the best thing since sliced bread, I'm going to run out and buy it now. Well, not so fast, because this is Assetto Corsa Competizione. The Competizione being that it was going to be an online, community-focused game. Kunos started using the word matchmaking, and everyone started thinking about iRacing and Gran Turismo Sport. Well, it turns out that there isn't any matchmaking like there is in GT Sport or iRacing, and that Kunos' idea of matchmaking was something else. So there are no scheduled races. You can't just jump in and find a grid full of people that are at your same ability and at your cleanliness rating. So I highly doubt that will change in the future, and it honestly is a big disappointment to see us kind of just reduced to these different servers that basically have minimum ratings. So don't expect any online championships like the FIA series in Gran Turismo Sport. Don't expect any daily races that go on every hour or anything. This is pretty just normal online. Find a server and jump in there and try to work with the restrictions to make sure that, or at least try to see if you're paired with people near your ability and near your safety level. But yeah, the game will not do it automatically for you. Now, that said, Kunos has taken a lot of effort and put it into this rating system. You can see these numbers up on the top right of the screen. The first number is my safety rating. All these go up to 99. So safety rating is obviously how clean of a racer you are. Now, the big difference between GT Sport and iRacing is here. Your safety rating is also affected in single player mode, which is kind of weird, because if the whole idea of it is to give people an extra filter for playing online, you can just set up some single player races to your liking and just kind of race side by side with the AI cars and basically farm safety rating. And it's very hard to get up and it's very easy to get down. So I'm really not sure why they bothered involving the safety rating into single player. But that said, the safety rating does do its job, and I haven't ventured online a whole lot. But generally, the people with a higher safety rating tend to be cleaner than people with a lower safety rating. So the next one you see, PC, that's your pace rating. That number is based on how quick you are in single player against the AI that you're racing with, and also how quick you are versus human opponents, both in online matches as well as in those community challenges. The CC, that is car control. That is basically a measure of how close you are to the limit and how often without losing the car. Losing traction, for example, will prevent that from getting up. Spinning out all the time will make it go down, for example. CN is consistency. That is how consistent you are putting in quick, clean laps. And TR is your track proficiency. And that basically goes up by completing consecutive, clean, fast laps at racetracks. That one does not go down. So we do have a very interesting rating system that does help you jump into the online world and filter yourself with people. And another thing this does is, as I suggested before, you start with the career. Go through the career entirely so that you can get used to what these numbers are, what they do, how they go up and how they go down, because it's a very interesting way to track your progress and your speed and your proficiency in driving these GT3 cars. So it is a very nice system. It's just unfortunate that online we don't have this automatic matchmaking system based on ability and safety to go along with it. And the other big issue with online, this being an online-focused game, there aren't a whole lot of people playing, and besides that, the vast majority of them are in Europe. So for someone like me who lives in the Americas, when I get on ACC in the evening, it's in the middle of the night. It's the wee hours of the morning in Europe, so there's not a whole lot of people playing. Definitely hard to get, very difficult to get full grids, and especially with people with who are matched with similar abilities. So that's the situation with the online with this game. It needs more players. Definitely needs more players. And if it did have a bigger player base, then I think the lack of having the iRacing GT Sport style matchmaking actually wouldn't be such a glaring oversight as it is right now with so few players playing the game. So regarding online play, I did mention before that I haven't ventured online a whole lot. I'm busy getting my safety rating up, but I have jumped into some quick matches using the quick server, and in general they've been reasonably clean. I'd have to say so far the driving standards in Gran Turismo Sport are better than what I have found in ACC. However, that could have something to do with my safety rating, which is still a bit low. I think you need to get it above 60 and probably above 80 if you really want to be with the clean people. But of course, the problem, that's when the player base starts coming in. It's hard enough to find matches at a low safety rating. I can't imagine what it would be like with the higher ones. But the experience overall is pretty good. I've seen some crashers out there. I've also had some clean races with people. And the experience is pretty smooth. It works pretty well. And I think if this game had a much bigger player base, this would be a really, really wonderful place to do some online racing. But as it is now, with the low player counts, I think the best way to take advantage of the online features that ACC has is really to join a private league. So hopefully in the future, when the game gets some more people playing, then the online area will be a bit more fleshed out as far as server options and having more full servers and having more people that are closer to your abilities, because that's what makes stuff like GT Sport and iRacing special, is to be able to easily jump in and get a full grid of people that are very close to your ability and very close to your cleanliness level. Now, to sum this review up, obviously I mentioned before that this is probably as close to the perfect sim as you can get. Everything is so well done. It is like the ultimate sim experience. Now, can I recommend it based on that? See, that's where a whole bunch of other factors come in. If you're a GT3 fan, or if you are a Blancpain GT fan like I am, I think this is a must-have game. You cannot go without this any longer. Now, for other people who aren't exclusively GT3 racers and are already playing iRacing, already playing R Factor 2, Automobilista, I honestly don't think there's a whole lot in this game for you. In spite of, in my opinion, this being the best sim out there, it's so bare bones on the content, and it's focused here on GT3 racing, that if you're already into leagues and already enjoying other sims that have more variety, I don't really see a big reason to jump into this at this point, unless you just want to have another sim to try out. So keep that in mind. I think it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you play now. In my mind, there is no doubt about that this being one of the best driving, or actually the best driving and the most accurate simulator out there right now. It's got all the features you need, and it comes with the official Blancpain license to boot. But I will reiterate, this is a thin content, narrowly focused game that you will have to make the decision on whether you would like to pay for that to have this driving experience, or stay with whatever you're doing with right now, which obviously is very close to what this is as well. So that's my review. Thanks for watching, and if I left anything out or if you have any comments, let me know below, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Right, here we go. Go. Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the left. Clear on the left.